Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. Welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. My name is FG and I am joined by two absolute legends looking great as ever, Michael Brown and Paul Dickov, joining us pitchside. Let's get straight to it then. Paul, how are we feeling?
You said before, super confident. I just think the way the lads are at the minute reminds me of the way they've been at the end of the last couple of seasons, especially last season. You know, they're focused, the drive is there, and scoring a lot of goals at the minute as well, which not a lot of people are talking about.
Now, Brownie, it's a big game, the penultimate game of the season. How do you think the players are feeling?
What do you think? I think they're ready for it. I mean, the pressure's mounting, the players deliver so many times right throughout the end of the season on a great run of form, not just beating teams convincingly, getting goals, performing really well. You just imagine that dressing room as they're all getting ready, getting the boots on, thinking, right, this is it. This is times you can't take back. As a youngster, when you're growing up, to go and win 4 in a row, these are the defining moments. You've got to take them. That's right in front of you. And the relentless, this squad of players. And what a great, a great stadium, great night of football. And hopefully City, however they do it, can get those 3 points and obviously put that pressure on for the weekend.
3 points are absolutely vital this evening. We'll have the team news for you in just a moment. Paul, I want to ask you about our record here in the Premier League. Of course, we've got over the hurdle of scoring that goal in the FA Cup, which has led us to Wembley for the final. But does the League One play any impact in tonight, do you think?
I think it's more of a story for the media and everybody else and the fans to get nervous about than anything else. But within the players, in their heads, they put it to bed in the FA Cup tie. You know, they came here in January saying that they hadn't scored a goal. They've scored the goal, they got the victory, and people forget that. They keep going back to the not won here in the Premier League, not scored in the Premier League. But I'm sure that's going to change tonight. You know, the players are so focused and driven in what they're doing, and they've been here before. Every single one of them have played in huge.
Do you think
games.
Psychologically, though, it's a little bit of a strange situation? Do you know, when you come in here, do you think the players will think, that's on the mind, or is this a different Spurs now? Do you know, this season it's changed, hasn't it? It's more open, it's more attacking.
It is, and the struggles we've had here against Spurs is when they've sat in. You know, they've sat in really deep, and they've Kane, Son up top and hit us in the break, and we've struggled with that. But as Brownie said there, it is a different Spurs team. They're more open, they want to play football, they play such a high line. And
I think that suits City, doesn't it? Do you know, like straight away, play high line, go man-to-man, high press, play over the top. We might see more direct passes.
The amount of space that Erling Haaland's going to get in the channels tonight, the ball doesn't even have to be perfect.
Well, let's not make anybody wait any longer for the all-important team news. Let's start, of course, with the Premier League champions of the world. And in goal is Ederson, Kyle Walker, Akanji, Diaz, Vardiol, Rodri, Kovacic, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, and our number 9, Erling Haaland. The substitutes for Manchester City this evening will be Ortega, John Stones, Nathan Ake, Jack Grealish, Jeremy Doku, Julian Alvarez, Mateus Nunes, Oscar Bob, and Rico Lewis. And then for the home side, let's bring out the Spurs team. In goal is Vicario, and then it is Pedro Porro, Romero, Van de Ven, Dragusin, Sarr, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Maddison, Johnson and Son. The substitutes are on the screen for you as we speak. We've seen the two sides. Let's start with Manchester City. One change, potentially an enforced change. Do you think Brownie Nathan Ake came off with a knock? It's great to see him on the bench, but Kyle Walker, what a replacement that is. Yeah,
I think it was probably a bit of a shock that Kyle Walker didn't start the game at the weekend, but they'll have been looking at this one and thinking, right, we need a bit of pace at the back. They counter, and if we're pushing forward, it needs to make sure someone's got real pace at the back. So yeah, you get why that was. Nathan Ake had that knock. He's managed to recover, get back to the bench. So straightforward. He's keeping a similar team, which is always strange, isn't it, for Pep Guardiola when you've got that bench. Jack Grealish coming back in as well. But you know, the team are playing really well. It was a top performance. What was good is, Paul, is that later on in the game, because the scoreline was so strong, you could make those changes. Last 15 minutes is important to get a bit of a rest.
Foden, taking them off as well. But do you think the team picks itself with the performances over the last few weeks?
You do think that, but it's hard when you look at the superstars on the bench as well. But at times he talks so much, doesn't he, about that rhythm, about the players who are on top of the game, and he doesn't want to really make too many changes. And I think it's a strong side. It's exciting, and I didn't really expect much more different to that.
I think, yeah, again, the one talking point will be, does Bernardo play wide or does Phil play in the middle, or do they both play in the middle like they have done recently? So that's the one thing to look out for. But for me, the team picks itself with Kyle coming back.
It is different as well. We've seen Bernardo go up against Robinson at Fulham. Udogi's not there. The left-back situation is a bit strange for Spurs at the moment, so just see how he goes and attacks that area. But that's one area that City need to hit.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? Because there's been a lot of of talk about Tottenham Hotspur and potentially rolling over for this fixture, because if they are to win today, it of course helps their rivals Arsenal. But this is a group of players who want to win, who want to be successful. As a professional footballer, have you been in that position before, Brownie, where there's been a lot of talk around it? I know you're a winner anyway, you both are.
I think you know what me and Paul were like when we got over that line. It was like, well, I understand it. I get when you don't want to win.
But who can we smash first?
But I think it was like us, wasn't it? Every single minute when you're on that pitch, it's about winning. It's your livelihood. It's how you want to progress. I see these supporters why they don't want their rivals. Manchester City have been in situations where you don't want Manchester United to do it. I've been on this pitch here standing for Spurs when Arsenal have come to win the league. Let me tell you, in that dressing room, it's a difficult situation. So you've got to try and affect it wherever possible you can. And it's about being judged. These players want to be part of this Spurs team going forward, or also world football, internationals, Euros. That might be the difference to you getting in the team in the summer.
What Tottenham will be thinking about, what the players will be thinking about, is they've still got a chance of Champions League. They won't be thinking, oh, if we lose today, Arsenal's going to win the league, or if we win today, we're going to help Arsenal out. That won't even cross their mind in the changing room ground before the game. They'll be wanting to come out there, first and foremost, do it for themselves, but do it for the team to go out there and get a result, because going into the last day of the weekend, they can still give themselves an opportunity, Champions League, and that's what they all want.
Well, we've got it all to come. I want to ask you as well, when you look at the stadium, you look at the atmosphere around you, you mentioned the supporters potentially might not want them to win in certain situations, but as a player, do you feel that, or is it just you're in the zone all the time? Because there might be a mixed reaction, but I mean, they're going to support the team, and you can see around us here, they're doing that already.
And saying that, FG, I know quite a few Tottenham fans, and they're not even coming tonight. You know, they don't want to come and see their team lose in Man City, but they don't want to come and see their team win. And they're just staying away tonight. There's quite a few of them as well, so it's going to be interesting what the atmosphere is going to be like.
Yeah, well, I think it's got to be strong. I think it's your last home game. I know they've had that little walk around and done it at the weekend, but you know, I think you've got to just get at it as players. You've got to play what's in front of you. I hope the supporters make it a really good atmosphere. You know, the brilliant supporters, these Spurs fans, they do get behind the team. The noise here can be really loud. It will be strange. It will be a little bit of an odd situation, and hopefully City can play to that strength. Really quieten down, control the game wherever possible, and try and get that early goal. That's always the one that just soothes it a little bit.
Well, let's not wait any longer. Let's head back to Manchester, where Natalie is there with some very, very special guests. Nat, it's good to see you again. She was following me this morning. I saw her in the gym bright and early.
Okay, he came up to me in the gym, up behind me in the gym when I was lifting some weights, by the way, and said hello. So I was not following him in the gym, just to make that clear. Hello, welcome to Matchday Live. A big thank you to FG, to Brownie and to Paul Dickov, who are pitchside at the London Stadium today. I am in the studio with two former City players, two great City players. And I think they won't mind it if I say great footballers, but exceptional pundits. Yeah. We are going to have some top-class punditry. Is that all right?
Can live with that, yeah.
Great football, exceptional pundit. You're all right with that?
It's quite nice for you, actually. I'm a bit thrown off here, but
really
yeah.
Good mood.
What's the trick? What changes?
I'm just in a really, really good mood today. I just feel like it's going to be a good night. So we've got Nedum and Izzy Christiansen with us tonight. An 8 p.m. UK kickoff. City taking on Spurs. 2 games to go, 2 wins, and City will win the league. You know what, Nedum? You both know me. You've both watched games with me. I am chill. What is going on?
So, I don't know if you know this, Izzy. She gets like this before games.
Yes.
And then when the game starts, the anxiety goes through the roof. She might not say much, but say somebody misses a chance, whoo, brace yourself, Izzy. It's going to be an experience.
I'm very aware.
Yeah.
The first leg of the Real Madrid Champions League tie. You're very nervous, weren't you, now?
Yeah, I was. And today I feel fine, which, considering everything that is on it. I mean, how are you feeling ahead of the game?
I don't think there's any issues ahead, really. I think City will win today comfortably. I think, well, the form that Spurs are in and the form that City are in, this is City's bread and butter, isn't it? But you don't know. I mean, Spurs, you know, City have got a bad record at Tottenham, so who knows?
Yeah, I think that's the difference, really, the fact that the game is being hosted at Spurs, because then you think to yourself, well, what are the good memories? Thankfully, there's been one this season with the FA Cup win, but overall, you've seen for like the last few years, Spurs have had so many different managers along that journey, but City still haven't managed to do it yet. But what they've not had is a City side who arrived there at this point in the season, knowing what a win would do. City arriving there with almost like a must-win mentality. That's the the final form of a Man City side. It's a side which we've seen do it in the Champions League, see it do it in the runs towards the end of Premier League seasons as well. I think I'm with Izzy, like, obviously the history isn't great, but the belief that you have in this team almost far outweighs some of the anxiety that you should have, because, you know, if things don't go their way today, you know, you'd be more surprised at that than them, say, going there and winning in a convincing manner.
Of course, we did win in that FA Cup game earlier in the season. The goal was scored by Nathan Ake. He doesn't play today. That's the one change. Of course, he picked up the injury against Fulham. He is on the bench, though, so he's OK. Kyle Walker comes back into the starting 11. Just that one, semi-enforced change, Izzy. Is this the strongest 11?
Probably, yeah. And you've got... City have always got a really strong bench, but, I mean, that 11 means business. It says it with Kyle Walker coming back in. I think Kovacic is finding his groove now. And obviously Haaland's, you know, he's on a great run of form. So, yeah, I think in terms of today, yeah, that's City's best 11. Spurs are going to have problems dealing with that.
I've been a big Kovacic fan for a large part of the season. I questioned why we signed him at the start, and then obviously you should never question Pep Guardiola. I've become a really big fan of his Nedum. Can you articulate better than I, with your exceptional punditry, why I like Kovacic so much? What does he bring to the team? What does he bring?
To be honest, I could do, but I never played centre mid. And if there's anyone that maybe played like around the midfield area, I think they could be better at answering that question. So
interesting.
Could I throw this one to you, Izzy?
Well, you can, yeah. And he is... So, Gundogan last season, right? Tough boots to fill, bringing in a midfielder. Kovacic comes in and I completely, was... OK, interesting. But I think he was brought in because he's a ball carrier. And that's what Gundogan did really well. And Gundogan, ball carrier and exceptional at picking up the second balls and keeping the midfield ticking, which you don't always associate with the Manchester City team at doing the dirty work, you know, picking up second balls, winning first balls, because they're so good on the ball. But Kovacic comes in and he brings a little bit of everything. But I think his ball carrying skills are so smart. And the recruitment side of that is... They've brought in somebody that can move out of pressure with the ball, which everybody knows how City play. So they look to pass out of pressure. But when they are tight and they can't get out of pressure with passes, if you've got players like Kovacic who can take the ball on the move, that's why they signed him. And he's getting the nod in big games. And, he's been in and out of the team, but, he's a top player and good recruitment. Mm-hmm.
That's it, that's what it is. You hit the nail on the head for me. What I like about him is, and I learned it within the first couple of games, when he picks up the ball and he's very tight and he's got players around him and you think, oh my God, what's he going to do? He's fine.
Yeah.
He just carries it and then the nerves settle and, yeah, that is spot on. I feel like maybe he's missing the goals, the attacking output that Gundogan had, but we're obviously blessed that we've got players all over the park that are scoring
Absolutely.
goals.
Absolutely. Scored a ton of goals again. Fancy that from City. But I think what I like about him as well is that at times he has a really good relationship with Rodri in that midfield area, but he also allows Rodri to go higher and to go and contribute more so in some of the attacks as well. I think this season, as the season began, most people would have thought, it's going to be a centre-back that will go into midfield every single game. But sometimes when it's Kovacic and it's Rodri, they keep a different structure behind it. It gives City that option to do things a bit differently because they still want to have, say, two players that may be a bit deeper in that sort of anchor position, but it can be him. And when he gets the ball, you can trust him with it. I think he's got a good eye for a pass as well. And I think for City, himself, Rodri and others, they can change the pace quite well. Mm-hmm. It's like they're moving slowly. Then whether they break the line with a pass or with a run with the ball, all of a sudden the opposition are on the back foot. And I think he's very good at that. But what do you expect from a guy that's like won a Champions League before, played for Real Madrid, full Croatian international? It's another great bit of business, and he seems to fit right in with the way City want to play.
Yeah, another phenomenal bit of business by City. I just want to give a quick shout out as well to Ederson. We don't often talk about him on this show because I feel like we're just so used to him just going ahead, just doing what he's doing. But today is his 250th Premier League appearance for City. He's had 112 clean sheets up until now.
Must be nice. Jeez. Must be nice, yeah.
I know.
Nice. Oh, wow. But
we've been blessed, obviously, when he's been out a couple of games this season, Stefan Ortega has stepped in. But I think it would just be nice. Let's have some positive words on Ederson that we don't often talk about him.
Yeah, he's class. I think he's got such a huge presence as well, and he steps up in those biggest moments. I think as we look back almost the year, Champions League final, those last 20, 30 minutes, who at times is the most important player for City was Ederson. I think some of his decision-making, some of the saves he makes, I think his composure as well, that can really set the tone. I think in terms of the way that City have played as a football team, he's been pivotal to that. I think without his ability to sort of be able to put his foot on the ball, play shorter passes, trust himself to play medium ones, longer ones as well, have the presence, because he's a big guy at that. Like, he's not a one-trick pony. He does everything really well. And I think to know you've got somebody that's that consistent, that brave as well, because he takes some collisions. You know, it's a huge part of why City have been successful across all those games you've mentioned.
I love that, how brave he is when he, yes. Another one that I used to go, when he would do things, and now you just go, OK, no, I know he's got it.
I'll be honest, from when I first started playing in the early 2000s, it was not always necessarily a good idea to pass the ball back to the goalkeeper. With all due respect to other Man City players that have been here. With all due respect to other Man City players and stuff that have been here. But now, like, it changes the way that you see football because you can use them in a build-out. And the ability for him to look for a pass, to be patient, and to trust that people are going to be able to go around. Like, some goalkeepers might get anxious, and that's fine, given where their training was to lead them to that point. But this is what a modern-day goalkeeper needs to look like now. And even a little thing, like the fact he's left-footed, it changes the way defences kind of see things, because he'll be looking for passes that, say, most right-footers wouldn't, which is what you face probably 90% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, you can send in your WhatsApp questions for our guests to get them in now. Some of you have been super bright and early with it, and I love it. And I'm going to squeeze one in dead early. We never use them this soon, but Andrew got a great question in right at the start of the show. So Andrew says, how influential has Phil Foden been this year in the central role? Is he the best player in the world right now?
Ooh. Yeah, he is the best player in the world right now.
Oh,
for me,
she said it, yeah.
For me, because I absolutely love him. I'm biased. I was at City when he was coming through the academy. But the growth and the development and the goals that he scored this season in particular, I have no words for how good that guy is. And if he is not starting for England in a central role in the summer, I've got a problem.
I think there might be a riot across the country if he's not starting in a central role. Everybody is desperate to see it. He's just got the Midas touch right now, Nedum.
Yeah, he has. And, you know, this right now is extended for far longer than a lot of people probably anticipated as well. But I think this is what happens for a guy that, you know, makes himself, obviously shout out to Bernardo as well, but makes himself available, wants to be a big part of everything that City are doing. In attack, defensively, I think he's been good as well. And that feeling where he's just scoring goals week in, week out, the season it kind of reminds me of in some ways. It's like the Yaya Toure one, when he hit like 20 from midfield. Yep. You know, there's just some, obviously two very different styles of player, but for impact, that sort of, those big moments, those big goals, like Phil's doing it. And when I think a lot of people assume that everything's always been fine and rosy for him, you go back a year and he wasn't starting for City at this point in the season. You know, it was Gundogan, it was De Bruyne, it was Bernardo Silva, it was Jack Grealish. But at the end of the season, his drive was to make sure that he was a big part of this season. If they finish winning 2 trophies, he knows he was a huge part of that.
And scoring incredible goals with both feet, with his weaker foot on that occasion as well. So City face Spurs today. If we want to win the Premier League for the 4th time in a row, we need to beat Spurs this evening. We've seen the Spurs team already. If you're just joining us, 3 changes they're making from the team that narrowly beat Burnley at the weekend. So Dragusin, Bentancur and Højbjerg all come in. Oliver Skip, Kulusevski, they drop to the bench. And of course, Bissouma is out with a knee injury. I'm buzzing that Kulusevski's dropped to the bench because he's got some phenomenal record against City. So he's been directly involved in 5 goals in his 4 Premier League games against City. Why do you think he's made that change?
I'm looking at the team and I'm going, OK, if you were in Spurs camp right now, how are you stopping City? And the first thing is you need to have somebody on the bench who you can trust to come off the bench to impact the game. And I think Kulusevski is that man. Højbjerg coming in, I think, you know, he's there to disrupt. He's there to be physical and try and, you know, get physical contact on the City players, probably Foden in particular. But it is a warning sign for City that if the game is tight and Kulusevski's coming on, it's something definitely to be aware of because of his pacing behind and his 1v1 ability. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But Brennan Johnson's in, isn't he? So I think that he's a player with a lot to prove, and I think Ange Postecoglou's perhaps given him the nod because he needs to see how he performs in big games.
Yeah, Højbjerg's an interesting one to come in. Pep will know all about Højbjerg from the Bayern Munich days as well. Why do you think Højbjerg's in?
I think Højbjerg at times, sometimes in, sometimes out. I think he was in against Arsenal. I think overall his relationship with like the Spurs faithful isn't as good as, say, most people would like it to be. But I think for today, they're probably playing a different sort of formation, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if they went really narrow. I think they'll have a back 4 in play. And I think it would probably be Sarr and Højbjerg, ahead of it Bentancur, Maddison, and then the front 2 of Johnson and Son.
Yeah.
I know that feels super narrow, but they know that if you want to beat City, you can't let them dominate that central area with some of the players that they have. And their team does feel very devoid of width as such, but they've got battlers and they've got good footballers in there. And I think Højbjerg himself is somebody who will put himself around. He's obviously still good at playing the ball and so on, but I think he'll play, if they are to do well today, he has to be a key disruptor. Same way for Sarr, because some of the other people ahead, I think being on the ball and dominating that way is their first priority, but those two behind, they know their job is going to be massive. I think that's why Højbjerg's in there.
Is his job going to be harder given the fact that City play Rodri and Kovacic?
Purely from a numbers standpoint, I think it'll end up being quite even in there, as I see that, if what I'm saying is true.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to see how it evolves, but within 30 seconds of the match, Pep will know how to add whatever he adds in, whether it be the fullback coming inside and pushing Rodri higher to dominate Højbjerg. But what they'll look to do immediately is if Højbjerg is in there to disrupt him and almost man-mark Foden, essentially, they'll just make up the number somewhere else and he'll push Rodri on, he'll push Kovacic on. This is why Pep loves it. He just loves it and goes, OK, what are you going to do to stop us? I'll figure it out within a minute, and then he'll do something and he'll move a player around or whatever, and that's why he's the best.
To be fair, on reflection, maybe a tweak, and obviously we'll have to see when the game kicks off. Because Dragozin or Van der Ven aren't left-backs as such, maybe it turns into almost like a lopsided 4, to where Porro ends up playing a fraction higher. Maybe you could have Johnson leaning off the left or a Son leaning off the left. And as a consequence, that he will find some width, because Porro's first intention will always be to go forward. So it grants him the opportunity by having 3 centre-backs back there. And then the width, maybe from Son, maybe from Johnson. But I think he prefers Son through the middle over Johnson. So maybe that will be how they'll attack, which in some ways, you know, it is a different look for City. But then it means there's going to be lots of space in transition for City to go and hit them in those wider areas should they win the ball.
Now, you know, I love the insight that we get from former players. I love the sort of tactical and the tech that we get from you. I also love the other sort of non-kind of tactical-y stuff. And we were seeing pictures there of the Spurs team walking around the pitch. Did you notice Vicario was carrying a flask? Like, it looked like a big flask and he was pouring it out to the other players. So here's my non-tactically question from you. Did you have players in your teams that like to brew right before the game?
I did. Did you?
As in...
Tea. Are you talking about tea or coffee?
All right, so I'm thinking brew, but you might have had a coffee in there, I guess.
I think I know what was in that flask.
Oh.
I think it was just hot water. Because they have this thing, some foreign players have this, it's... Aguero used to have it.
Are you talking about mate?
Mate tea.
But they wouldn't have it in a cup, though, would they?
But you have it in... So one of the Spurs players had it, I've seen it, and he had a silver straw
Romero,
with a small cup. Probably Romero.
Oh, it could have been Bentancur, to be fair, yeah. That's a good point.
Or Bentancur. And they top it up by adding hot water to it. And it's like it's a very detoxing...
She gets it.
Clean, very refreshing drink.
It's called... OK, so look...
Mate tea.
Mate.
See, this is...
Yeah, that's Romero with the mate, yeah.
And he's
South American,
yeah, he's South American,
yeah. Yeah, there's something to that, yeah. And
look at him with these flasks under his arm.
So that's Bentancur, another South American with a flask. So it is hot water. Izzy's figured it out. Izzy the detective. That is literally a bit of South American culture. That is mate that they're having in that flask. And if you look back through, say, images of South American players with it, they have it all the time.
Messi has it.
Messi has it. They have it all the time.
Yeah.
It's a big part of South American culture.
And I'm definitely sure I've seen Aguero with it. Actually.
Yeah,
OK,
100%.
so apparently it's a slow-release energy drink.
Kinda.
It's a very it's natural, herbal, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
And as far as I'm aware, it just makes you feel very cleansed and clean and fresh.
I need some mate before MatchDay live shows. I like this. Apparently as well, did you hear on social media that Spurs have been flying kites? What is this? Fulham were flying kites and now Spurs were physically flying kites.
So what's the story there?
So before the game, so last week, Fulham were pictured flying. This is not a code word for anything. Flying kites. And this week, the Spurs team have been flying kites.
Oh, you mean for team bonding
Yes.
or something? What's the metaphor here? What's the metaphor?
Interesting.
Have you ever? Did you ever fly kites in any of your teams?
No.
Okay.
No.
I did a couple of times in my childhood away from football.
Okay.
But that's an interesting one. I'm thinking of team bonding ideas and maybe...
Did they go to a beach to do it?
I don't know.
Or they're just in central London or whatever, just flying
Hyde
kites?
Park.
I don't know if that's
training
what that is. Yeah, I don't know. If you fly on a kite, you know, it does require a bit of skill to do it, and you obviously need the wind as well. But I've never thought as a player that's the type of thing that we all needed to bond over. But again, I'm outside of football
Maybe
now.
we should try it.
I'm outside of football. Maybe things have changed. I don't
Let's
know.
get a mate and a kite and get ourselves out
how you
and see if it chills us out, see if it bonds us all. See, there you go, tactical analysis and the other insight that you get as well. So we are around about, oh my goodness, 40 minutes away from tonight's 8 p.m. kick-off. City take on Spurs at the London Stadium. 2 Premier League games for City to go. 2 wins and we will win an unprecedented 4th Premier League in a row. I am surprisingly calm right now, surprisingly calm by my very bad nerves generally. But let's just have a quick look at the table as it stands. So you can see that Arsenal currently sit 1 point ahead of us. This is our game in hand this evening. Look at that all-important goal difference as well. So Arsenal on 61, City on 58, which essentially means that City cannot slip. We cannot drop points because a draw will take us equal on points with Arsenal, but they have a better goal difference. So we'd go into the last day of the season on Sunday playing West Ham, needing to beat Arsenal's score by 4 goals. So tonight, it just means, Nedum, tonight it's a win and nothing else, isn't it?
Essentially, if you want to be in control, that's literally it's laid out for you there. I think at times, you know, all these permutations and different possibilities and so on, you know, they can confuse people and so on and all that. But when you are in the middle of May, it becomes very, very clear. Whether you're at the top of the league or bottom of the league, this is what you have to do if you want to achieve your objective. And I think from, you know, City's standpoint, the fact that they have it in their hands right now is of a huge benefit and credit to them, because there have been times this season when they haven't. But it's right there. And the manager, those players, like, the messaging is quite clear, isn't it? It basically, to make it wider, if they win 3 games from this point, they win a double. If they win 2 from now, they win the 4th Premier League title in a row, which has never been done before. That's why one of the reasons why when I think about these players, I don't worry about them, because they are so ready for the biggest moments. You've seen them do it for so many years, and not every big moment goes well their way, but how often do you see them really suffer when the lights become brighter? You know, the bigger the stage, the bigger some of the performers step up. And like I said, I'm excited to see how they approach this game, because yes, historically they've not had great results there. But again, the motivation is different today as they arrive there, because it is that sense of, well, you know, these could be the last 2 before you do something that's not been done before.
I love the way you put that there. It makes me feel even calmer, because these are world-class players that have won everything in the world, you know, including World Cups, Champions Leagues. They've done this. They've been in this position before where they've got to win games. So psychologically, we know that they can do it easy.
It's a very difficult process as a player to break it down, and it's easier for us to sit here and analyse it, but it is essentially just another day at the office for these Man City players, and they are so well drilled and well coached that the processes that they have to get to this point just become second nature. And it's like, even within the game, you know, if Tottenham, you know, do have spells where they're, you know, threatening City at all, there'll be processes in place that they just revert back to and go, we're comfortable with this. And this is what you can't say about Arsenal yet, and they're way further ahead than they were last year. But they still haven't nailed those processes. But my word, they're getting closer. And that's what makes this even more exciting for City. And the fact that Arteta is Pep's understudy says a lot about Pep, because he's the closest man to beating Pep. But he's not going to beat him, because I'm pretty confident City will win today and everything will be in their own hands. But fascinating stuff.
Oh, why has my stomach just started to jump? I was feeling calm.
No, you said you were calm.
I was calm.
Also,
I was
she
calm.
forgot there's an actual game to be played now.
I was calm. No, it was all, everything you said was positive, and then I just went, oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 wins. 2 or 3 wins, as Nedum puts it. 3 wins and a double. Because, of course, that's it. 3 games of the season left. And what an unbelievable season it has been. So, we already know that Phil and Bunny have been named the Football Writers Awards winners. We've got loads of other nominations for Players of the Years out there. Some people that weren't nominated that should have been. Loads of nominations out there. So, we decided here at MatchDay Live that we'd give out some unofficial gongs. So, we've come up with 5 awards, and they are Skill of the Season, Celebration of the Season, Saviour of the Season, Assist of the Season, and the big one, it is Moment of the Season. So this is what we have decided just here in the MatchDay Live group. If you disagree with it, we'd love you to WhatsApp us and tell us who you think should have won these. And Nedum and Izzy don't know what they are yet either, so we're going to get their
I didn't decide this.
reaction. Yeah, do you know what? I didn't decide it either, actually. It was them backroom staff, so if you've got a problem with them, it's them lot, not us. But yes, no, I agree. I'm joking. I agree. I've seen them, and I think they made exceptional choices. So let's have a look. The first one, Skill of the Season. So
Stinks of Doku, this.
No,
okay.
wait for it. You'll remember
right,
this
okay.
moment.
Nah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was naughty.
Stefan Ortega versus Palace. I remember watching that live and screaming, Izzy.
Oh, that's a joke. Like, it's like the biggest angle on a Cruyff turn I've ever seen, but it's so clean at the same time.
It's clean, yeah, so clean. Super
Look
clean.
at that. On the edge of his 6-yard box. What a joke.
Unbelievable, Nedum.
That's so clean, yeah. That's proper. That's proper. Looking back as well, like a win against Palace holds a lot more value now, you know, given the sort of run that they went on after that game there. But that's the reason why Ortega, you know, when you see him play, there's no drama whatsoever, is there?
Would either of you try that in a game?
I would try that on a Monday night
Higher
away
up
from
the thing.
cameras, yeah. That's when I'd try it, yeah. When nobody's watching, I would do.
So we're all agreed that was a good choice.
Yeah, it's decent.
Well,
Yeah.
it's one of the choices. Obviously, as I say, there've been a few Doku skills, a few Foden skills, and things like that. But we can live with that one, yeah.
I bet there was a few Bernardos in there as well that might
Yeah,
have been in contention.
don't make sense, yeah. Like it's just somehow 3 or 4 people, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
That'll
we're
do.
happy.
We're happy, yeah.
We're happy with that. Well done, Stefan Ortega. Skill of the season. This is one I absolutely love. So this is what we decided was celebration of the season. Do you remember this one, guys? It's our Johnny Stones. That is him scoring at Anfield to put us up 1-0.
I love the way he knew that Ake and Haaland, the 2 biggest guys in the team, were right behind him to catch him.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I love his jump on. Here we go.
It's clean, that. In a different way to Ortega's.
That was pure passion. You're not having that, Nedum. You've not said anything.
I'm just trying to decide for myself what we mean when we say like celebration, because that feels more. I feel like more like a moment as well.
Okay.
Because I'll be honest, I like Doku's griddies.
You like the griddy?
I do like Doku's
Can you
little
show us
griddies.
the griddy?
I could do, but I'm not going to. I do like those, especially when like you see the first one. It's a nice little feeling, you know, he's like throwing his fingers up and all that. So,
Yeah.
but I can live with that one because it's at Anfield. So,
That's
yeah.
passion.
Yeah, that's
Pure
passion. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
pure
that is like unplanned in the moment.
Surely we
with
could have
the
found
fans.
some more of those though, with like really late goals. There must be a few late goal celebrations which like get people
Yeah.
to
Quite
go.
a few late goals.
Was it this season? Yeah, it was against Sheffield United. Like Rodri scored like late doors and stuff like that away.
But that was Anfield. That was taking the lead at Anfield
Yeah.
when we still thought Liverpool were contenders.
Yeah. Little do we know from that point, you have to watch the game
Yeah.
from behind your sofa. But yeah.
I know, yeah. By the way, do you prefer the griddy or do you prefer the Foden?
Foden.
I think the gritty.
Griddy?
Yeah.
Izzy?
The Foden.
Oh,
She's biased. She said she's biased already.
I'm Team Foden.
Yeah,
you
sure,
know
that's
this.
fine.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Of course, you said that.
Okay, so that is skill of the season and that is celebration of the season. Although a little bit of contentious decision here about that celebration on the sofas. So the next one we've got save of the season. So this was Ederson. This is West Ham away. Whoa!
Yeah, that's very good.
Reactions.
What do we think, guys? Like this one?
I like it. I like it because I'm being fed it and I can't think of any other ones.
Do you know what? I don't know how many big saves Ederson's made this season, if we're being honest.
Listen,
Says a lot, though, that. That says a lot.
So it's 1-1 at this point, so it is a big moment as well.
Yeah.
And obviously we go on to win this game 3-1, and we know how important every point is at this point. So that was a big moment.
yeah.
You're not impressed, Nedum? You're hard to impress today.
It's just because I'm being told what it is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm not getting a chance to pick on myself.
Okay,
I feel-
sorry.
I don't feel part of the process.
There's a
I'm a
subtle
bit
hint
down.
in there
He's a
that
bit
you would have
upset.
enjoyed being part of the process of selecting these.
It would be nice, but it's fine. We'll just
Yeah.
be puppets. Whatever you want to say, we'll say it. Yeah, it's fine.
I got nothing to say to that.
Yeah.
The next one, assist of the season. Who do you think it's going to be?
Oh, it's either going to be Bernardo, KDB, or Foden.
I think it would be Kevin at Newcastle for Oscar Bob. Late doors in that game, I think it'll be.
It was very close. It's Kevin, but it's versus Burnley. Take a look at this. He took that. It was a quick free kick.
Okay,
Yeah?
okay. Quick
Yeah.
thinking.
No one else saw it.
Quick thinking.
No? Yeah.
Well-
Yeah, Alvarez saw it. Quick thinking.
Yeah.
That's so silly from Burnley, though, to leave that gap.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I feel like this show's getting a bit west here. So we like the John Stones one because he was at Anfield.
Yeah.
And this one is against Burnley.
Yeah.
But his one for Oscar Bob was against Newcastle at St James's to score the winner in the last minute of the game.
So if you're thinking of that, what reward might you give that?
I could give it possibly the celebration in there because it was Oscar. I think that was his first league goal as well. The assist, you know what I mean? You could argue, say skill, because after Oscar took the ball, he went a little bap around the goalie. But again, it's not me picking. So yes, this is the best assist. This one against Burnley is the best.
Yeah.
This is the
No,
best.
you don't have to agree with it. You're not a puppet. You can have your own free will on this show.
Yeah, whoever picked that one's wrong. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I think none of us like that one is the best, to be honest. I don't think that
it's
was.
good. Listen,
It was a
it's
good
very
one.
good.
People
Very
can
good.
WhatsApp in, can't they?
Yeah.
People can WhatsApp in, yeah.
Yeah.
So make them
I want to
decide.
know more stuff.
What-
I want to know more examples.
Let's be super specific now. Like, can you get a single on me, please, yeah? Can you get a single? On the WhatsApp, tell me if Kevin's assist for Oscar Bob at St James's Park was better or worse than the one we just saw for him for Julian Alvarez against Burnley at home. WhatsApp in. Let us know.
Now, before we do moment of the season, have you got one in mind, each of you? I know we've thrown this on you. Ooh.
That is a...
See, now we're getting the opportunity to discuss it, and you're not giving one.
That's
Yeah.
because there've been so many games. There've been like 60 games to this point.
I immediately just think
Moment.
about
I've got
being-
one. I've got one.
Yeah.
I've got one, actually. And it's not in the league. It was when I was at the Spurs Stadium
Yeah.
in January for the FA Cup game.
Yeah.
And I saw City score a goal. And it was the first time they scored a goal there in the
love
5-6
that.
years that the place has been. It was Nathan Ake scoring.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
So that moment for me feels special because I've only seen it once. So that is
And
one
'cause you were there.
so far. So yeah, it felt surreal because we'll just rule it out for something because City don't score here. But they did it, so that's my moment. Ake scoring at
Okay.
Spurs Stadium.
Let's see what we've got.
I
Have
want
you
to
got
see
one?
what you've got.
Right, okay. Right, Nedum, sit back in your chair.
course I'm
Moment of the season
He's gonna be-
is this. It's Oscar Bob's winner against Newcastle.
Oh, my
So,
God.
Here is the assist that he was talking about.
And then here's the skill I was also talking about. Pop, pop. That is
Oh,
cold.
my days.
That is cold. There's a celebration in front of the City fans at the highest point in the world as well. That's just...
The City came from behind.
That's 3 moments in one. That's the skill, the moment, and the assist.
Yeah.
And a celebration, maybe.
And the celebration, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this. It's your first goal. It's your first goal.
That's something you do in training when you're like in a 4v4, 5v5 and you're messing around.
That's something you do in training. It's not something
Yeah,
I'm
this
doing
is
in
what I
training.
do.
I hurt myself.
So we've come from behind in this game. We've brought on a young player. We've scored a last-minute winner with that level of skill. Given where we are right now in the season, knowing that there is no leeway to drop points, how pivotal could that moment be?
Huge. And, you know, academy graduate coming off the bench doing that. And Oscar Bob had played in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle at St James's Park. And I know City lost that game, but he was one of the best players on the pitch by a mile.
And to link it to Oscar Bob again, when they won in the FA Cup tie, I thought Oscar was really good.
Yeah.
He was really, really good that day. And you mentioned like young players coming off the bench. I think that day, Kevin De Bruyne also came back in, and he came off the bench for that. He scored and got the assist, and that was the beginning of what would end up being quite a tear for him as we sit here with 3 games to go.
With 3 games to go. So about 25 minutes until tonight's kick-off. We're going to go back over now to the London Stadium, where FG is standing pitchside with Paul Dickov and Michael Brown.
Hello, yes, thank you. Welcome back to Pitchside here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The players are behind us, and we're going to talk about Matchday Live Awards. That's fancy, isn't it? By your host, FG, and Natalie Pike, a.k.a. Ant and Deck. Right, OK, let's go on. Brownie, we'll come to you first. Your moment of the season.
Moment of the season. I was on commentary, and it was in the Manchester derby. Obviously, they took the lead. I was under a little bit of pressure. Sorry, Paul, if you're going to pick this one as well.
He's
But
just
when
completely
Phil
necked
Foden,
what I was going to say
when
there.
Phil Foden went across the edge of that penalty area, I'm thinking, he's not, is he? He's not going to. And as it starts to rise into that top bin, let me tell you, I left the seat. A few Manchester United staff all around us in a commentary position. That was a great moment, followed by, straight after him, getting the next one. That was a highlight for me. So thanks very much, Paul. I really enjoyed it. So should we go back to the studio or is there any more?
It's getting a little bit tense in here. Well, I'll give you one then, shall I? This is a bit of a rogue one, I think. They spoke about Oscar Bob, of course, in the studio. We completely agree with everything you're all saying in the studio. Paul's giving me the eyes there, you know. What about when we played in Belgrade and one of our academy products scored his first goal in the UCL and for City, Micah Hamilton, Paul? That was a nice moment, wasn't it?
It was a great moment. We were there that night, and the best thing about it was we watched the youth team in the afternoon, and they're also buzzing that Micah was in the squad. So from we get his first start in the Champions League and first goal was That's not too bad, that one. At least you picked your own one and didn't nick somebody else's like that.
But all in all, I mean, we also have to go to, of course, the Club World Cup, the thing that got the little shiny badge on our chest as well, which me and Paul did actually speak about off camera. I'll tell them, don't worry. Paul's got so many memories that he just can't remember them, and obviously
he's too old.
He's not too old. He's a massive Manchester City fan, and the Manchester derby always comes first. But Brownie, have you got anything else for us?
Anything else? What did I like most? I think the moment is going to be here today, so I'm going to sit right on the fence and I'm going to wait for this. We're going to see a special moment tonight when City take the lead. I don't know how good the goal will be, but whoever scores it, that's going to be the most memorable at this moment in time.
Do you want mine at all?
Yeah, let's. Sorry.
All right. Well, I was going to say Phil Foden in the derby, not just for his goals, but the way...
You just see me on the phone there, didn't you? I was just checking. I was having a little look, and he goes, "Tell me which one you were going to go for." Right. I said, "No, anyway, I'm not telling you."
So, I'm going to go for the Newcastle game.
Still see you.
I'm going to go for the Newcastle game and not Oscar Bob. I'm going to go for Kevin De Bruyne when he came in the pitch and nutmegged somebody from 20 yards out and put it straight in the back of the net. And I thought, well, we're all wondering how sharp he was going to be when he came back. To come on and do that in his first appearance was unbelievable. But we're so lucky there's so many moments that we could pick out of the season because we're just that good.
I mean, that Newcastle game was absolutely special, wasn't it, Brownie? When you've got a player to come off the bench who's been missing for that long, I think that's a really, really good moment, don't you?
Well, Kevin just does what he does, doesn't he? I mean, I think it's been underestimated how good he has been since he's come back so quickly off a really bad injury. He's just getting better and better. He's in his stride now, and he's so important in these games as well. So moment-defining things that happen throughout the season. I think everybody's contributed as well. You look at that squad, whenever it's been called upon, right throughout the youngsters joining, Bob, Lewis, getting more minute time. And a special mention for me for the goalkeeper, Stefan Ortega. I think he's been exceptional. And now he's pushing Ederson all the way, which is going to make even better performances from Ederson. And you know, these are the type of moments, maybe I'm slightly biased because they're right behind us. They can't actually hear us, so that's okay. But again, it's about the squad, isn't it? That's so important.
It's going to be a special evening. That was a very special pitchside award ceremony from you both, so thank you very much. I know it'll be Brownie and Paul again, probably arguing about something else, so just bring us back next time. We'll see what we've got there.
Rory, Bruce, Paul, who's above me in 6 and 6. If I win both, I'll go top of both. Oh, we were talking about fantasy. Nedum and I were talking about our fantasy football teams. We were deep into our fantasy football teams.
So deep into it.
And which, thankfully, because we are about to come on and talk about fantasy football. So this is our FPL top trade section that's brought to you by Axie. And yes, we might be 2 Premier League games left, but Nedum and I are still fully deep in our fantasy football. But you play as well, Izzy?
I play as well, and I'm not coming into this chat.
Yeah, keep her out.
I've let it go.
She doesn't. She has a team. She doesn't play.
It's like a full-time job managing your fantasy team.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
it really is.
What real management's like.
No, I can't even begin to think about that. I'm obsessed with this too much. Yeah.
Same. So this is our top trade section that's brought to you by Axie, where we have a look at some of the players that we think you should be bringing into your fantasy football team. And of course, there's only 1 game week left, so it is players you should be bringing in. We've had a look at the teams that they're playing this weekend and the situations. And here are our suggestions for your teams. So if you don't already have Josko Gvardiol, what are you doing? Do you both have Josko Gvardiol?
I could not afford him. I wanted him, could not afford him.
What do you mean you couldn't afford him?
I meant exactly what I said. I couldn't afford him.
How? He's not expensive.
I had a team and I had 5 million. He's like, was it 5.1? That is it. That's literally what happened last week.
Right.
5.1, his price going up meant I couldn't afford him.
I've had him for about 4 weeks now. He's had 60 FPL points in the last 5 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, 8 bonus points.
All right, go you.
He is the absolute person that you should have, and I will question your fantasy football abilities if you don't currently have Josko Gvardiol. Could have had hat-trick as well at weekend. Could have had hat-trick. There he is. So in terms of the City defenders, he's pretty much starting every game. He seems to be one of the first names on the team sheet, and obviously when you're looking at defenders, you're looking for people that could give you attacking options as well. So Josko Gvardiol is the one that you need. And then midfield. So we're looking at games for this weekend as well. So the next game week, our suggestion for you is Son. Do either of you have Son?
I have Son.
I have Son.
You both have Son. We all have Son. So 17 goals and 9 assists this season already. And on Sunday, they take on Sheffield United, who have the league's worst defence. They've conceded 101 goals. 101 goals. Do you fancy Son to maybe get some points at the weekend, is he?
Yeah, he always delivers, doesn't he? He's been in my team all along, mainly partly because I rate him so highly and partly because I haven't had the time to edit my team. So.
Yes, you have.
Hence why when Nedum looked at my total points tally, he sneaked on my phone, had a little look at how many points I'm on, and that's something I will not share with City TV viewers.
For the record, she pulled the phone out to show me her FPL team, and then I had a look. I didn't do look. Let's not cause any issues here now. You know what I mean? This was consensual. It's fine. Yeah.
FPL is causing arguments on the Matchday Live sofa. So Son, yes, again, if you've not had him for most of the season as well, what have you been doing? He's racked up a whole amount of points. But if you can get him in for the last game, they're playing Sheffield United. If not, get some Spurs players in. And then the last option, this is a bit left field, but he is now in my team, actually, because Nicholas Jackson has actually become a fairly decent option in the last couple of weeks. Didn't think we'd be saying that a few months ago. Who'd have thought that? So Chelsea, they've been playing fairly decent, motivated to try and get into the European places. Of course, we know that he scored against City earlier in the season. He scored 4 in his last 3 games and he's had an assist. Chelsea, depending on the results, could overtake Spurs and finish in 5th at the weekend. And, I mean, yeah, he's surprisingly, Nedum, he's racked up some points in the last few weeks.
Yeah, he has. I think, obviously, he's had some lowlights as well as some highlights within there. But one thing is he's always involved in a game. And I think when strikers do get on this hot streak, then yes, they are definitely worth it, especially for that price of 7 million. That feels relatively cheap when, Watkins and are 9 million and so on. I think if you can get someone at that price point and they're scoring goals, yeah, it gives you more options elsewhere.
Apparently, the little voice in my ear tells me that Nicholas Jackson scored more goals in his first season than Didier Drogba did for Chelsea, so...
Listen, a lot of Chelsea fans get very angry about that, but facts are facts, so don't let them hurt your feelings, unfortunately.
Facts are facts. Facts are facts. So, best of luck to you for the last week of FPL. I am going for top of our league for 2 years in a row. I'm currently in 2nd, but I'm playing our producer Mark this week, who's currently top. And if I beat him, I'll go top. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Go top on the 2nd last game of the season. Hopefully. Right, so that is our top trades brought to you by Axie. Very best of luck for your teams this weekend. Now, a little bit earlier on, FG found one of our absolute Matchday Live legends, Pitchside. So here he is speaking to Paul Dickov and Jolien Lescott.
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As you can see, I'm joined by 2 absolute legends. We've got Paul Dickov, who's been with us throughout the evening, and of course, Manchester City legend, full-time DJ, future streamer, potential YouTuber, Jolien Lescott. Jolien, let's talk about the game tonight. First things first, let's head back to the first time we won the title. This fixture sort of reminds me, I don't know if you're going to agree, Paul, with Newcastle United away at St James's Park, the penultimate game before QPR.
Well, they ended up positive, so if you're going down that route, then yeah, I'll take it. I'm a bit more nervous than I was that day, to be fair. One, because Yaya already seen the game and told me he was going to score, so that was nice. But yeah, something about the stadium, isn't it? So slightly a bit more nervous today.
Great memories indeed, and it's so good to have Paul Dickov with us because I'm also nervous. Paul, speak some sense into both of us, please.
No, I'm all right. Honestly, I'm fine. I'm comfortable with tonight. I just look at the way the lads have been over the last 5, 6, 7 weeks. The goals we're scoring, 4 against Villa, 4 against Palace, 5 against Luton, 4 against Brighton, 5 against Wolves.
Less nervous now.
Yeah, 4 again at the weekend, and I look at Tottenham have won 1 game in the last 5, straight past Burnley, then conceded 4 against Newcastle, conceded 4 against Liverpool, conceded 3 against Arsenal. So
I think their result on the weekend against Burnley was a blessing in disguise for us, because I don't think they lose 6 in a row. I don't think they would have come in here thinking we're losing 6. Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, get one out of the way and then go back to losing.
Yeah, I think the exact same as that.
I just get the feeling the squad and Pep and how they are, it's given me the same sort of feelings I've had last season, the season before, with the last few weeks of the season, whereas maybe 6, 7 weeks ago I think people were they're talking about them being a little bit tired and a few bottom lips were out, but it seems since the Madrid defeat and then the Chelsea game in the FA Cup, which I thought was huge, they're really at it now, and they look as if they're making a champions
again.
Probably
a good fixture to have after the Real Madrid disappointment. I think everyone was disappointed with the outcome of that game, not the performance, but then you go into a semi-final, so you can't let it dwell. So that was good.
As 2 men have been in very important fixtures for Manchester City, I want to ask you, do you get nervous as players in situations like this? Because as fans stood on the sideline, you overthink. We've just seen the players walk through and they look very relaxed, headphones on, listening to the tunes, probably Lescott's tunes actually. How do you feel as a player, like when you're in this situation?
You're calm. You are relatively calm. Again, different circumstances, but if I go back to the time when I was playing, I knew I had to do my job because the top players were going to do theirs. So if I did mine and played my part, we were going to win more often than not. And like Yaya, David, Sergio tend to do what they do best, and that was decide games. But yeah, I think if you're prepared right as a player, this is the level of pressure you want to play at, and what's at stake.
And Paul, do you echo that as well?
I do, but I just look at the players as they're walking past us there. You know, that's a team full of superstars, but they're so focused as well. You know, whatever 11 goes out there tonight is going to be top players. Whoever's going to come off the bench, the strength and depth's ridiculous. And it's the big thing for me that they've been there season in, season out for the last 6, 7, 8 years, so they won't let the pressure affect them tonight.
Now, there's been a lot of talk, of course, and I'm sure we've probably touched on it on the show already, about how we're playing against the rivals of the team who are going for us in the title. Have you ever been in that situation as a player before? And, I mean, Ange sort of cut it off in his press conference, probably rightly so. I think as players, you just want to do your job. Yeah,
you're not coming out here. No one's coming out here to lose. Let's get rid of that myth or that theory. Spurs players aren't going to be looking to lose. Yes, if City scored, then you might hear a louder cheer from the Spurs fans. But in terms of the players, no, they're professional. They've got here for a reason. They are quality. So you can't just guarantee or rest on the laurels that Spurs are going to down tools. That isn't going to be a factor at all.
And don't get me wrong, Spurs have got some top players.
Yeah.
You know, they've played at the highest level for a long time. So echo what Julian said, Ange and his staff and the players, they won't be down in tools at all. But I think some of the fans might feel slightly indifferent about it.
A few more City shirts in the home end.
But I've just seen a few there.
Well, OK, we're going to head back to the studio, but before we do, Jolien, this is your moment to call a certain someone out in the studio.
I'm just Nedum, can you text me back, please? I've messaged you twice. One is a voice note as well, but I've had no reply.
Thank you. Stop blanking me on your golf days as well.
Yeah. Cheers, Nedum.
Nedum, that is really, really poor. I'm going to head back to the studio. Natalie's there. She always texts me back when I text her. Thank you for that. If I messaged Izzy, she'd probably text me back as well. Nedum, what are you doing, mate?
Yeah, obviously, FG. Hello? I always text everybody immediately back.
I'm working, Joel. I'm working. All right, some of us got to work, mate.
You've absolutely taken a hammer in there. Is it true you ignore Jolien and Paul Dickov?
I feel like those are half-truths. I didn't ignore Jolien on purpose, yeah? So intent is key. Intent is key in life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I missed something. I've responded since. And for Paul, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but Darren Murphy, producer, he's the reason why Paul wasn't involved in the golf. So, yeah, he's under the bus.
Not throwing anybody under the bus
except
there.
For Darren Murphy, yeah.
OK, thank you.
Specifically Darren Murphy.
Thank you to FG, to Jolien and to Paul Dickov there. So we are coming up to 10 minutes before kick-off tonight. Don't forget you'll get full match commentary on the City app with Michael Brown and with Alistair Mann. Did you see Pep's press conference this week where it was the game was described to him as squeaky bum time, which doesn't really translate into Spanish very well. But Izzy, squeaky bum time seems like the perfect description of how I'm feeling right now. How about you?
You're getting increasingly more nervous, aren't you, now?
Yes, Izzy.
Yeah. So, right, my thing on this, right, how long has Pep been in England now? How many years?
Is it 7
7?
or 8?
Yeah.
OK, how has he not come across squeaky bum time before?
Yeah, because we've had a lot of it.
Or is it because you're always in control?
Yeah. OK.
It could be, but, like, this is a commonly used English football phrase. In my opinion, in my world.
Okay.
I quite like using it. I don't know, I quite like these phrases in football.
Would you ask a manager, though? Would you ask
absolutely not.
That's what I mean.
In a press conference, absolutely not. But in, like, maybe one of his staff might have, you know, dropped it in conversation before. Maybe he might have seen it, read it in a book.
Nah, because the staff wouldn't present that energy because they're not built for that, are they? You know what I mean?
They aren't. You are spot on with that.
Someone won't be saying, "Oh, you're nervous, guy."
Yeah.
Squeaky bum time, isn't it? It's like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Do you think Pep Guardiola's ever had squeaky bum time?
Do you know what? Obviously, the people who are like watching the show now still don't know what it is, but it is obviously a sense of nervousness as such. And I think for Pep and his players and his staff, they've played in tons of big games where it's do or die. And even though they might think of it in a different way, they have had that feeling. But the best thing about that feeling is like it's what players root for because it's a big game.
Yeah.
If you assume not every loss is the same, not every win's the same either, there's a reason why some of the games which are perceived to be like a City fan will celebrate this game more so than did a win against Palace a few months ago, even though it's essentially 3 points that are the same.
Yep.
But that sense of nervousness and positive, like energy, like that is what squeaky bum time can be.
That's exactly what squeaky bum time is. I love that definition, Nedum. I wonder if FG and Paul Dickov are feeling the squeaky bum time.
Well, unfortunately, unlike Pep, I haven't got somebody to translate, unless you'd like to translate for Dickov. Squeaky bum time?
My bum is solid, mate.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we're fast approaching kick-off. The atmosphere is building behind us, in particular in a corner behind us where the City fans are. Big games, big moments, big players. Newcastle away, we did it 2012. Similar sort of feeling, fear of the unknown. We've won 3 in a row. This is our 4th potential title. We just have to win the game for.
2 games away from creating history that might never be done again. And the players know it. You know, we were watching them warming up here. They were so sharp in everything that they were doing. The high fives, the hugging, it wasn't for show. They really want this tonight. And, you know, if the warm-up's anything to go by, we're going to be in for a good one.
It should be a good one indeed. How do you expect the game to start off? Do you think it'll be Tottenham playing their normal game, their high line, or do you think they'll be a bit more reserved?
Yes, I did. And it might be something for the people in the studio to have a look at. Ruben Diaz, when everybody else was doing the shooting and finishing, was practicing long diagonal balls into the channel. We never usually see him do that. You know, as a defender, he does his little headers, does his defensive work with his other centre half, but he went away on his own and was hitting diagonal balls into the channel, so maybe that's something to look out for.
Well, listen, kick-off is really, really fast approaching. We're going to go and head to our seats. I'm going in the away end. We'll be back at full time. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. And let's head back to the studio where I hope there's no squeaky bum time.
Thank you so much to FG and to Paul Rockhard Bottom Dickov, as his new nickname is. So we are just a few minutes away from kick-off now.
I'm taken aback by that. Say that one more time.
I don't think we need to.
Okay.
I don't think we need to, do we?
Okay.
But hey, I tell you what, it's made me smile while the nerves start to kick in. So how are you feeling? How do you think the game's going to go? Give us your final thoughts.
I still have a lot of faith in the team for how good they are. I think obviously Spurs are a good side, but City have played lots of good sides in May, in April time, across many years, and they've proven to, you know, get the best of those in those key moments. So I'm a believer they'll get the job done. I think it'll be one of the more professional performances we've seen from City, and I think they'll make the game as comfortable as it can be playing away from home in the Premier League. And it might not necessarily be the best game in the world to see, but I've got a feeling that it will be enough, and that is something that they're masters of.
Love that. Izzy, how are you feeling?
I think the game is going to be high energy. I think Spurs are going to come out the traps, and I think it's going to bring out the best in City. So I'm going to go with a comfortable City win.
OK, give us your score prediction, then you've teed it up nicely.
3-1 Man City.
Love that. Yes.
I had a feeling you're going to say 3-1. I'm going to say 2-1, but I'm going to say it like the one is at the end just as a token when it doesn't matter for Spurs, yeah.
It will matter, though, because it'll mean a few minutes where we are biting our nails.
No, it might be... They'll just give it to them as just a generous one. So thanks, guys. Have a good season.
Thank you. OK, 2-1 and 3-1. Thank you very much, Nedum. Thank you for being here. Izzy, thank you very much, as always. I told you, exceptionally punditry this evening and some fun stuff as well. It's just the right mixture, isn't it? And I hope we've settled your nerves ahead of the game tonight. So if you're not currently watching on the Manchester City app, get over to there now, where you'll get the full match commentary from Alistair Mann and from Michael Brown. 2 Premier League games left. 2 wins and we will win the Premier League. Tonight is a must-win game. But if anyone can do it, it's Manchester City. We'll see you at half-time.
Thank you, Natalie. It's a fixture which has been looming large ever since it was postponed over a month ago after the Blues qualified for the FA Cup semi-final. But tonight, they are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, knowing that it is simply imperative that they have to win to keep the defence of the title in their control. Well, they broke the stadium hoodoo back in January by securing their first goal and first win here in the FA Cup. They now need to draw on that positive experience to propel them to their first ever league points here. It's been well documented that City haven't scored a league goal away at Spurs since October 2018, and that was at Wembley Stadium. This evening, quite simply, they have to score, or they will go into the final day of the campaign playing catch-up and simply hoping for an improbable Arsenal slip-up. Well, the steely determination in the eyes of the City players has been in evidence for several weeks now. They are on this quite stunning unbeaten run, an unbeaten run of 33 matches, 27 wins and 6 draws. But one of those draws cost them the Champions League place as they lost on penalties. Another draw today.